Big Dumb Movie is a comedic podcast that often contains obscene language and outlandish commentary. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Big Dumb Movie, where we discuss movies of the big dumb variety. I'm your host, Korey, and I'm joined today with two co-hosts. First up, Alex, the Fantasy Hustler.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Glad to be back.
Welcome back, Alex. Good to have you. Also joining us, a man who I wore down and stalked into friendship, Jonathan.
Oh, excuse the intro. I just finished watching Sopranos for the first time, so that's that.
Very nice. It's good to have you both here, Jonathan and Alex, the Fantasy Hustler. We're here, of course, to discuss the 1996 Jim Carrey movie, The Cable Guy. Right there in Jim Carrey's heyday. It's 90s. He's the man. We've done a little bit of Jim Carrey coverage on this podcast at this point. A while back, we did Batman Forever, where he played the Riddler famously. And then, I don't want to say recently, but not too far ago, I guess, we did Dumb and Dumber, Jonathan. And on that Dumb and Dumber episode, we opened up talking about Jim Carrey movies. We talked about some of maybe like the less known ones. Obviously, there's Ace Ventura, there's this movie, a couple others. But we talked about like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and some of his other roles. The Truman Show is a really good one. So for this one, we're not going to talk about Jim Carrey in the intro. We're going to talk about Matthew Broderick, the other star of The Cable Guy. A man who is paid significantly less than Jim Carrey, but still a top-billed actor in the movie, certainly. So, Matthew Broderick. Alex, do you like him? Are there any of his movies you're into? What are your thoughts on the man?
Ferris Bueller. I mean, that's the one that always comes to mind. I mean, it's cult classic. We're never going to forget about it. It's one of the, first movies where they, tear down the fourth wall. And it's better than this one, for sure. Like, I like his character in that one. One of the things that I remember about this movie is I hated it when I was younger because of the Jim Carrey and Matthew Broderick character, especially because I think of them in those other ways. But I have a newfound respect for it after watching it a few times.
Okay. I want to dive into that a little bit when we start reviewing the movie itself, for sure. Because there's maybe, I don't want to say this movie's controversial, but it's certainly like been debated and criticized a lot over the years about its quality and like where it fits in the Jim Carrey pantheon. Because it certainly is different than the 1994 string of Jim Carrey movies, which is Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. But I'll put that on hold for now. And I'm going to talk about Matthew Broderick. Hopefully I don't steal Jonathan's answer here, but I think...
You bastard.
I think one of the great Matthew Broderick movies, and there are not many, one of the greats is Glory, 1989 Civil War movie.
Yes.
It's probably like the quintessential Civil War movie to me. There might be some other ones. Maybe some people are into Free State of Jones. I don't know. But that movie has a pretty stacked cast. It has Matthew Broderick, of course. It has Denzel Washington. It has Morgan Freeman. And I believe Carrie Elway or Elwes is in it as like Matthew Broderick's like right-hand man. But it's a really good movie. It's kind of tragic, but it has that like classic war movie feel. And the production value in that movie is insane. So for those that haven't seen it, it's a 1989 movie. Kind of it feels like an early 90s movie though. Glory, definitely check that one out.
All of us are kind of the same age. So did we all see that in high school somewhere, like junior high? Was that shown to you guys?
I did not see it in school. I was shown that movie by my mother like when I was like 10, which is true for like a lot of the movies I grew up on. Like my mom just decided to show them to me at some point. But Jonathan, have you seen it, Glory?
No, I haven't, but it's definitely on my list. It's one of those movies when I want to get into watching the war type movie. I definitely want to get that watched.
Well, Matthew Broderick, what's your answer, Jonathan?
Well, I'm going to kind of go a little bit different direction.
Inspector Gadget.
No, God, no. No, it just dawned on me on my drive over here. Matthew Broderick was the voice of Simba in The Lion King.
Yep.
Like, yeah. For me, I was only, 8 years old when that movie came out. And for me, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was always the one that was associated with the voice of Simba. Like, I don't associate Simba with him as his teenage grown-up years, I associate with The Cub, where JTT did the voice for him. And so it was just kind of like mind-blowing to make that connection with Matthew Broderick, which was pretty cool.
No. It doesn't matter. Hakuna Matata.
What?
Hakuna Matata. It's something I learned out here. Look, sometimes bad things happen.
Simba!
And there's nothing you can do about it. So why worry?
Because it's your responsibility!
Honestly, I think that's one of Matthew Broderick's better performances as just the VO role of adult Simba. I think he plays Simba longer than JTT does, so like he's top billed in The Lion King, actually.
He definitely is, yeah.
And The Lion King's an interesting one. The Lion King is one of those like full-on Disney celebrity voice casts, which is super common now.
Yeah.
But it was a new thing at the time. So
oh yeah, they were, star-studded cast at the time.
Matthew Broderick Simba, Jeremy Irons Scar, James Earl Jones Mufasa, Whoopi Goldberg as like one of the hyenas.
Yep.
You know, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean. I know your favorite, one of your favorite actors, Jonathan. I know you're a big fan of him. Zazu. The list goes kind of on and on for the Lion
Can't
King.
forget about Nathan Lane, epic actor.
What was his?
He was Timon.
Timon, yeah, that little fucking
the little fucking weasel, whatever it was.
whatever
Meerkat.
He was funny though, but it was actually kind of a new thing to have full-on celebrity voice cast like that. It kind of started with Aladdin. Now, it wasn't the first movie where there was big-time celebrity voice cast. You know, Robin Williams as the genie is what I'm referring to specifically.
Sure.
But that was kind of the one. Like, that was really, I think, the first big one for Disney, where they took on-screen famous actors and they said, okay, you're going to do a voiceover role. Everyone knows who you are. They know your voice. We're bringing you in for this. Now it's just like common, right? They don't
you got Vin Diesel playing Groot. Come on. What the fuck is that?
That blows my mind to this day.
It's unreal that he's a top billed cast for Groot.
Vin Diesel's in like so many of the highest grossing movies ever made because he's in those Marvel movies. And then like he's in the Fast movies, which some of them are in, I think, the top 20 or 30 of highest grossing. Furious 7 is. Yeah. Anyway, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
A guy that kind of annoys me, to be honest, but has some good movies.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, he's one of those guys that I feel like no matter what role you put him in, he's still sort of that neurotic, kind of nervous, scared kind of guy every single role he's ever played in. One of the other mentions that I wanted to bring up was he does an episode with Jerry Seinfeld and comedians in cars getting coffee. It's kind of interesting to watch that because his natural personality in that show, because it's like unscripted mandate, that they go on in a Lamborghini.
Oh,
he was
a mandate, not like
not
like an order,
not a mandate, a man space date.
Yeah, okay.
With Jerry Seinfeld, his natural personality in that show is just like he's very boring. I would not want to hang out with this fucking guy. He still lives in the same neighborhood he was born in, and he's in his 60s now, late 50s maybe. I guess maybe he finds his identity through the acting he has done. Especially, he's done apparently a lot of work on Broadway and in plays and stuff like that. Probably more successful in that than he was in actual movies. But I don't know, man. He's just a weird guy. But the episode was kind of cool.
You have been here your
Really
entire
strange.
life.
Yeah, my first play was there even.
Yeah. You're like Jesus.
I am a little like Jesus. Sometimes I think it's really cool that I have always been in the same place, and sometimes I think it's tragic, actually. I just I never saw anything. Nothing happened. The name of the book is Nothing Happened. Yeah.
There's something about Matthew Broderick where like I kind of don't like him. Like
I want to like him, but like I also want to punch him in the face just as bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not like I don't like he's never done anything to like make me say I disagree with something, therefore I don't like him. It's just like him in movies is kind of annoying, and it's probably because he was in that fucking god awful 1998 Godzilla movie, and that just rubbed me the wrong way for like my whole life. That movie's a piece of shit.
That's a lot of fish.
We talked about that on Spoilers not too long ago.
Yeah, he was like a doctor or scientist or something in that
he was
movie.
the lead scientist in that movie.
Yeah.
His character in this movie and a lot of other movies, I just don't like. You know, Ferris Bueller, to me, that was the cool, because he's the cool kid in high school and all that, even though he's probably like, 25 or something. It's his voice that does it a little bit to me. I don't like his voice. And
But if he wanted to come on this pod, we would love to have him on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't. Not really, but like mostly your characters, man. Come on.
we could get him to talk shit about some of these movies, because I'm sure he looks back at the Cable Guy, and I'm sure that's not one that he'll bring up.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're pretty much ready to talk about it. Let's get into The Cable Guy, 1996. The movie intros with channel surfing, and it really makes me kind of go back to like the TV era. We're kind of out of like the TV era, I think. Not a lot of people really have TV like they used to when we were growing up. So this movie is kind of dated in that way, but it also kind of like, it's not that this movie's outdated. It's more that it's just like firmly in the 90s. Like this movie is a 1996 movie for sure, right? Like the TV generation, the glorification of like crime on TV, which we'll get into the case that is kind of going on in the background of this movie.
Digital answering machine rather than a tape answering machine.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey, how's the move going?
horrible. The Cable Guy is missing in action. Apparently he's going to be here sometime between 8 a.m. and my death.
You haven't called Robin, have you? Please tell me you didn't call her.
No, I'm giving her space. I can't believe she's doing this.
You never should have asked her to marry you. You're the mad smotherer.
All she had to do was say no. She didn't have to kick me out. I feel like Felix Unger.
Just give me 1 hot minute. Listen, one sweet little piece of advice. Slip the Cable Guy $50. He'll give you all the movie channels for free, even the dirty ones.
No, I couldn't. I'm not good at that stuff. What if he says no? I'll feel like an idiot.
None of them say no. Never happens. Gotta go. Talk to you later. Kick ass.
All right.
We meet Steven. He has a new apartment. Jonathan, who is Steven?
Main character in the movie, played by Matthew Broderick. Just as we recently spoke of him, he's sort of a nervous, afraid to commit kind of guy that I think shit just kind of happens to him, but I think he kind of allows it to happen too. You know, he's a guy that's constantly second guessing himself. He's just not very, very forward in his, the way he handles his life, I guess.
He's kind of like a weak dude, right?
Yeah, definitely a weaker character. You know, he was a pushover. We find out in the movie that he proposed to his girlfriend and she kicked him out. You know, like that explains his entire life in a nutshell.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a problem his whole life, right? Like,
yeah,
even though he is kind of like a weak character and it's kind of hard to root for this protagonist in some ways, you are kind of like informed of his background indirectly just by like his nature, right? This dude is probably like bullied in school. Like you kind of get that idea even though they never say it, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see it with his interaction with pretty much every character throughout the movie, between interactions with his boss and later his other co-stars, his girlfriend. All of these people just sort of push him over.
And it's very early on in the movie when we get to meet also, in addition to Matthew Broderick as Steven, we get to meet the Cable Guy, who goes by a few different names. I might refer to him as Chip because that's one of the names he gives early on. He is there to set up the cable in his new apartment, right? So Steven has this new place. He's getting it all set up. And it's interesting to kind of know that like things haven't changed, right? You know, when you move and you get like internet set up at your like new place, new house, new apartment, whatever it is, it's still like the same thing. It's like, who fucking knows when these people are going to show up? They give you like a 6-hour fucking window and like you'll be lucky if they arrive, right? We still have that same problem, which is fucking mind blowing to me that like that problem still exists in the same exact way. But I'll set my frustrations aside. Alex, we get to meet Jim Carrey, the star of the movie. This man was paid, I think half the budget went to this fucking guy. Highest paid actor at the time, so...
So, I mean, initially, he seems like a very impatient asshole. Like, that's the first thing that I got. It's like Matthew Broderick goes into the shower after he's waiting for like 10 hours for him, and he shows up right when he gets in the shower, starts putting shampoo on his head. Like, that's horrible.
And as a quick side note, a possible throwback to Ferris Bueller, seeing him shampoo his head in the shower and then seeing him in a bathrobe in the hallway. I think those two moments are like maybe slight intentional nods to Ferris Bueller, but go on.
Had to be. I mean, there's very intentional with that. And one of the things that I got from Chip, aka Jim Carrey, real quick, he's a really sexual being. You know, he goes in and he starts like, ooh, where's the sweet spot over here? Starts feeling up the wall and then starts rubbing on the nipple a little bit of the wall. And like, that's, yeah, really impatient, a really sexual being initially, and just a fucking psycho and a weirdo. Like, he goes to change and he rearranges his entire house.
Well, look who decided to show.
You were supposed to be here 4 hours ago.
Was I? So, I'm the tardy one?
Yeah. I was gonna go to that bed and bath place, and now it's closed.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have come at all. Jerk off! I'm just joking with you. Let's do this.
He's really like a guy that is off-putting, especially to a weaker character, because he doesn't know when and where to joke and what jokes are crossing the line. And it sets it up for a very, very awkward first 2 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, because he comes in and, like Alex said, he molests the wall to find where he should drill a hole. Jonathan,
yeah,
I take it that you've done installations in homes. Do you ever molest
I've drilled
the wall?
a few holes in the wall.
Yeah, do you have the same methodology?
No, not at all. No, that was really obscene, very unnecessary. What it was actually kind of funny though is if you go back and watch that scene, you can see where they sort of patched the wall where he was about to drill and feel around with his finger there. You can see a little drywall patch with some paint, and then he drills out right through that hole. Yeah,
it's like set up for him.
He definitely did that a couple times.
Yeah. I see.
I want to see the outtakes of that scene now. I wonder what other crazy shit he did trying to find the spot to drill the hole.
I guarantee there are hours and hours of footage of Jim Carrey just doing the wildest, most disgusting shit ever throughout this entire movie that they didn't use.
Has to be. This is like a weird place for like the Jim Carrey peak 90s movies because he's such a fucking creep in this movie, right?
Yeah.
Normally in movies where he's top billed, he's like the funny man hero. And in this, he's like the off-putting kind of weirdo whose side you kind of get on for a moment until like the shoe drops, and then he becomes straight up like the villain, which is something we'll get to a little bit later. But definitely a weird one for Jim Carrey. And I think that's why like this movie's kind of divisive.
Yeah, I didn't like this movie for the longest time, but maybe it's my 12-year-old self just watching it, wanting to see Ace Ventura or The Mask or Lloyd Christmas, and we get this creep.
Yeah.
How about this? Oh, yeah. That's your sweet spot right there. So, your lady kicked you out.
What?
In, preparing your service, I noticed you were previously wired across town at 1268 and a half Chestnut. Last week, the billing was transferred to one Robin Harris. Smells like heartbreak to me.
Well, I really don't want to discuss it with you. Would you just install my cable, please? I'm gonna get dressed.
Suit yourself. No sweat off my sack. By the way, you might want to put on a bathing suit, because you'll be channel surfing in no time.
My note says he's being super horny with the wall.
He is, man.
It's the summer of love, baby.
there are small instances of Matthew Broderick's character where you can watch him become physically uncomfortable around the cable guy. And one of those moments where the cable guy's being horny with the wall, Steven like tightens up his bathrobe a little bit.
He like covers up.
Yeah, he covers up like his chest. Like this guy's gonna do something to him.
Like it's like a woman with like cleavage exposed, and like how she might like cover it if she's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like he does that with his own chest.
Absolutely. It's like those little uncomfortable moments I really noticed watching this as a nearly 40-year-old compared to a 10-year-old from when this movie came out.
That one always stuck with me. The covering up of the bathrobe. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Jonathan, would you let this guy install your cable? Would you just like...
No. The moment he yelled at me and calls me a jerk off, I tell him, get the fuck out of my house. I can probably do your job better than you anyways.
You're like Nick Offerman in like Parks and Rec.
Absolutely, dude. Like when I go to Home Depot, they come up to me and are like, "Can I help you, sir?" Like, no, I know more than you do. I know where the inventory is. I know how to get it off the top shelf. I know how these parts
Give
work.
me a forklift.
Yeah, absolutely. I am forklift certified, by the way.
That's good to know. That's why I have so many bitches.
Dude, I got them. Rolling deep.
Hours. So ends day 54 of the trial of former child star Sam Sweet, who has been accused of shooting his twin brother Stan in cold blood. The twins were stars of the hit sitcom Double Trouble, which aired from 1977 till 1984.
Who wrote this?
He did it! Life wasn't sweet after the cancellation of their program. Hollywood chewed them up and spit them out. A frustrated Sam turned to petty larceny while his more impressionable brother fell in with a fringe cult called the Brotherhood of Friends. And so, today, his attorneys continue the unusual defense of twin envy, also known as twin stress syndrome.
It's around the same time, Alex, that we learn about the trial of the century. Stan and Sam Sweet. I think Stan and Sam. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah.
Played by both Ben Stiller, who is the director of this movie.
It's funny because looking back now, it's kind of like the OJ trial is what it like seems like, and very similar like timing. And well, they're kid actors, and just I guess pushed to the brink in a lot of things. And then he kills his brother. Yeah,
there were child actors who I don't know, it kind of got like washed up when they got older and they went different routes, but one of them killed the other one. And that's what's going on when we see TV screens in this movie. It's not like the plot of the movie, but every now and then the camera just shows us what's on TV, and it's pretty much consumed by this trial, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. I got total like Menendez Brothers vibes from it. It was very kind of weird because there's nowhere in this movie that it actually explains what any of this has to do with anything going on in the movie that I could find. And I tried to look up some fan theories about it and stuff. And none of them had any real evidence of why this trial was going on. So I don't know if you guys found anything.
Well, I think behind the scenes of like the main story of this, like the story under the story, I think is trying to be a commentary on society at the time. I think they're trying to say something about like the glorification of like murder trials and like how, I mean, other movies do this better. Natural Born Killers does this way better, but it's about how society is consumed by these trials and current murder stories. And it's interesting because that was a thing in the 90s and it kind of like died down. And now there's kind of a little bit of a resurgence of that same thing with like Netflix documentaries or like true crime podcasts, but it's not current cases. It's like cases from back then, right? So there'll be like a Netflix documentary on some serial killer in the 80s or the 90s, or there'll be like an OJ series. People are consumed with that again, but just in different ways, right? Again, true crime podcasts are huge. That's really what I should have got into if I wanted to get the fucking podcast money, dude. Those podcasts make the money.
Absolutely.
People are addicted to those, that's for sure.
And it's kind of like the same thing, but it was in the 90s and it was on what's on TV. And the cable guy, I think, is kind of the personification of someone obsessed with TV, which is interesting because if the cable guy was made today, it would be a totally different type of story. And I was trying to think what it would be, because it wouldn't be someone who was like raised on TV. My only thought would be that it would be like a Gen Z kid raised on memes or like, you know, like TikTok, right? The TikTok obsession, or like a social media kind of influencer, someone who's disconnected from reality but obsessed with something like that.
I feel like it would be a GTA 5 kid, you know, like somebody that was raised playing nothing but online shooters and a role-playing game like that.
We could cast your son.
Oh, God. He's a little young for that.
Yeah, so that's where this movie is definitely different than today, right?
Yeah.
TV was like the thing back then. This is like kind of before the internet really took off. And we'll talk about that because I think there's some interesting stuff about that in the movie.
One thing. I have this friend, and he gave his cable guy $50, and then he got all the movie channels for free. Did you ever hear of anything like that?
You mean illegal cable?
Yeah.
Who told you that? What is his name? I want it.
Oh, forget it.
You're offering me a bribe. What you have just done is illegal. And in this state, if convicted, you could be fined up to $5,000 or spend 6 months in a correctional facility.
Oh, please. No, that was dumb. I was just making conversation. Forget it.
I'm just jerking your chin. You are too easy. Wake up, little snoozy. Smell the smelling salt. I'll juice you up.
Oh.
Call it one guy doing another guy. That's solid.
That is so nice.
So, Steven, aka Matthew Broderick, he kind of like bribes Jim Carrey to get free cable. He says, you know, like, what if I give you some money and you give me those like deluxe channels, which was, I feel like back in the day, the people that had a lot of money had those, or you had like an illegal box to get those. There were ways to get them illegally, but the cable guy here basically somehow grants him. And that's like his superpower in a way. He gets more superpowers later, but like Jim Carrey as the cable guy, his ultimate power is that he can give people free cable. So it kind of like gives him like control over people in a way that we'll talk about.
A little bit of that, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
That's his way to get everybody to like him. Who doesn't want free cable? And even now, you know, if you can get some kind of anything, we pay more for cable and streaming apps and everything now. If you can get something for cheap and you had a plug like that, it's like he was a superhero.
It would be like today if he could give someone like a free Netflix subscription.
Right.
But because he does that for Matthew Broderick, he basically like forces him to hang out with him. This is kind of a funny moment. He says like, oh, well, we should hang out sometime and I'll show you how this all works. And Matthew Broderick gives like the kind of like nice, but no, not really answer of like, yeah, let's do that sometime. And Jim Carrey's like, how about tomorrow? And he's like, I can't. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just go then. And he starts to like walk away. And Matthew Broderick's like, oh, okay, he feels bad, right? He's like, I guess I'll do it. And he's like, okay, see you tomorrow. And he like runs away. He forces him to hang out by like saying, all right, I'll see you then. And then literally runs down the hall. And that part is kind of funny. It's a very Jim Carrey thing.
He guilted him by saying, oh, did I cross the line? And made him like feel real guilty in that moment.
Chip, who's the cable guy, we haven't gotten his name yet at this point, but he sets Steven up to force him into this awkward friendship by not accepting the money that Steven wanted to offer him. And so he expects a friendship now rather than an actual payment and transaction.
That's the form of payment. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
And he does show up the next day to pick up Steven. And it's funny because like right before Chip as the cable guy arrives at Steven's apartment, Steven's like at home, like kind of like depressed, lonely, probably missing his girlfriend. And he's like watching like a Tony Robbins infomercial. And he's like seconds away from buying it.
He was going to buy it.
He's like literally picks up his phone to dial the number to get it. It's like one of those self-help packages. Self-help things I feel like were really popular in the 90s. There's like all kinds of different like infomercials for shit like that. And not just infomercials, but like self-help centers and stuff. And yeah, Steven almost does that. But Chip shows up, picks him up and takes him down to like, I guess like the cable company's huge satellite.
Biggest satellite ever.
And kind of a funny line when he picks him up. I did laugh out loud when he said this. He said,
Hey, buddy. I've had a few drinks. You might want to buckle up.
I mean, that just speaks to exactly the cable guy's not knowing when and where his sense of humor is actually appropriate and when it's not. I mean, that's something that I would totally say to a friend.
yeah.
But he thinks that they're like best friends after less than 24 hours, right? But that's not something you say to someone the very first time you're ever going to go somewhere.
You're right.
And it was 24 hours, but like, I'm assuming that he was there for maybe 45 minutes in his house.
Exactly. Maybe add 15 minutes to rearrange his whole living room, but definitely not long, right?
Yeah. And even when, he's about to leave the house, remember when he asked him about the cable and about the $50, and he's like, what? Are you talking about illegal cable? Who's this guy? What's his name? And so like his sense of humor is just the most awkward. He really doesn't know when the punchlines are supposed to come.
Jim Carrey has some kind of like unique physical characteristics, I think, in this movie as Chip, because when he's doing that scene that you're talking about, Alex, I can picture his face when he's like, are you talking about illegal cable? Like that exact moment. And he pushes his jaw forward in this movie, right?
Yeah.
And he always has his mouth like slightly open. If you think of Jim Carrey in this movie, either he has the grin, classic Jim Carrey face, or his mouth is a little bit open. And he kind of has like a little bit of a Napoleon Dynamite face in this movie with his jaw extended outward.
He kind of always shows his bottom teeth with that jaw jutted forward. Yeah.
Is that because of the lisp? Is that like to compensate for him like having the lisp?
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably easier to perform the lisp with your jaw forward like that. But don't worry, he's a perfectionist.
He was so pissed when he couldn't say the T as well.
So Alex, they take a ride on the information superhighway.
Okay, and I don't remember exactly the way that it was worded, but he was like, you could be shopping at home, you could be watching this TV over here, or you could be playing Mortal Kombat with somebody across the world. And that was the foreshadowing of the internet and internet gaming, at least that I remember. And they don't show anything internet wise, but I guess back then everything internet went through the telephone anyways.
His predictions about like how networking is changing and like how internet is going to impact people was like really spot on. Something kind of cool about that, actually, like the way he describes things about, like you'll be able to play, like online gaming is one of the things that everyone remembers.
The future is now! Soon every American home will integrate their television, phone, and computer. You'll be able to visit the Louvre on one channel or watch female mud wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. There's no end to the possibilities.
Pretty fucking spot on. Pretty neat, actually. And that's not the focus of this movie, but like he really did call like exactly what the internet is going to do for people. Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since probably a good chunk of America now is cable internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even phone line or fiber.
Yep, we're still on that cable infrastructure.
Yep. During that scene when they get to the satellite there, they park the van and there's like a yellow gate. You recall that? So Chip decides to like go underneath the gate, like duck under it. But if you look to the left, there's like a walk-through, like right to the side. And Steven follows him right under it. I just thought it was so stupid. It's like, again, speaking to Steven's character of being the weakling and just doing what he's told and following along.
Yeah.
It just, because Chip went under it, he went under it. He's like, dude, all you needed to do was walk 18 inches to the side. You could have walked around this gate.
And in this scene, they kind of talk about like Steven's relationship issues with Robin. And Chip gives him some advice. He kind of like tells him what to say to kind of just like make her happy. It's like, I think the next scene or a couple scenes later where we actually do get to see Steven's ex. Her name in this movie is Robin Harris. She's played by Leslie Mann. And I just got to say, like, hearing the name Robin Harris, like, threw me off a little bit. Because that was a comedian in the 90s. Well, he died in the early 90s. But do you guys know the movie Bebe's Kids?
Oh, yeah.
It was based on the comedy of a comedian named Robin Harris. He was credited as one of the writers for that movie. He's like a black comedian.
Interesting.
So it's just weird to me. Here, like Robin Harris, I think of that movie. But anyway, Steven's ex, Leslie Mann. What do you think, Jonathan?
Whenever I see her, I always just think of Adam Sandler's Big Daddy.
Yep.
When they're walking down the frozen food aisle and he tells her, don't say too long down the frozen food aisle, your boobs will harden, you know.
She was in a lot of 90s stuff. She actually is in,
Yeah.
she's still in stuff to this day. She married Judd Apatow, I believe, so she ends up in a lot of his movies.
Right.
But, you know, she was kind of a babe back in the day, like a 90s. She was in George of the Jungle.
Yeah, definitely. That's a regular one at my house. We like that one.
I don't listen to you. I pretend to understand, but I'm really just saying the things that I think that you want to hear. And I'm interested in learning about every detail of the complicated splendor that is you.
Oh.
I can see why taking this time might be good for us. So I'm not mad.
Well, sometimes time apart is healthy.
You're right. Well, that's what I came here to say. Ooh, I gotta get back to the office.
So, what are you doing tomorrow?
I'm just gonna cook myself some dinner, watch a movie. Sleepless in Seattle is on cable.
Really? I love that movie.
Oh, well, if you're around, why don't you come by and check out the new apartment?
Okay, maybe I will.
Whatever.
Chip's advice actually works with Robin, which was like some of the corniest shit I've ever heard. He says something to the effect of, I want to know about all the wonderful splendor that is you. Whatever the fuck he says, it's stupid as fuck. And interestingly, he doesn't actually ever like follow through with that. He never like really tries to like sink his teeth into her, like into like what the splendor that is woman or whatever the fuck he said.
Yeah.
It's just some bullshit he says and then he like walks away.
Yeah, the other part there is he invites her over to watch Sleepless in Seattle because it's on cable the next night. I guess it was a pretty prevalent 90s movie at the time. Must have been early 90s then, like 92.
It's one of those
93.
many like Meg Ryan rom-coms, you know?
Yeah.
A couple of which she did with Tom Hanks. You Got Mail, I think, came out like 2 years after this movie. But
Yeah. So all of a sudden, Steven was in touch with this other side, more sensitive side that Robin really needed and was attracted to. Supposedly.
yeah, but super superficially, very strange.
Yep.
But we get to see, Steven's next day, we're kind of following Steven, the main character, even though the cable guy is top billed. It's Jim Carrey, of course, but Steven is out with his brother and a bunch of buddies at the gym playing basketball. And lo and behold, Chip Douglas himself shows up.
Well, first he walks in and is like, hey, you guys hoop here too? Like he was just coming in there for a normal pickup game. He's got his tank top on and his super short shorts, and he's got his headband on and his mouthpiece. So ridiculous to start.
Dude, he's got the mouthpiece. He's like LeBron. What's the problem?
Right, and the headband. He's LeBron before LeBron.
Yeah. Where do you think LeBron got his look from?
I'm just gonna say the cable guy as of right now.
Yeah.
No, right? He was rocking it. And it's so funny because like he's so weird and awkward. Because when Matthew Broderick introduces him, he's like, "Oh, that's my cable guy." And he's like, "Yeah, you met a couple days ago, but I feel like I've known him forever." And Jack Black, he's like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Not knowing, he doesn't get the sarcasm.
I love Jack Black's reaction because it really like breaks down like how stupid it is what he just said. Like it really just like makes him confront how weird it is to say that, like after knowing someone for 2 days and hanging out with them for a total of 2 hours.
Right. Yeah. Literally 2 seconds in the grand scheme of life.
Hey! You guys play here too?
Weird.
I was just out and about. Thought I'd see if anybody wanted to play some round ball.
Great. We need another man.
This is Chip Douglas, my cable guy.
We met about a week ago in a routine installation. I feel like I've known him my whole life.
Really? That's sweet. Okay, Chip Douglas, you're on my team. Let's play.
No way.
I'm on Steven's team.
So someone gets hurt, and so he was going to fill in for the person who got hurt. And so Jack Black's like, come on, Chip, you're on our team. He's like, nope, I'm playing with Steven. And Jack Black, it's like a weird look in his face, like kind of like, okay. And then the other guy's like, I'll just switch teams. No big deal. And it's so funny because he's definitely played basketball before, but he's probably played a lot of basketball by himself. Because like the first thing he does, he's like, all right, hold on. I got to stretch a little bit. I don't want to pull anything. And he starts running wind sprints. Everyone's just looking at him like he's a fucking, just a real goober, man. Real goober. And then when the game starts, you do a check ball. You throw the ball to the opponent. They throw it back to you. But when he says check ball, he looks at the ball and like, he's like squeezing it. He's like, seems fine to me. Gives it back to him.
Looks good.
And puts his mouthpiece back in, starts calling the dude White Shadow. And then he just like runs around him, passes it, scores. And Jack Black.
Yeah, he immediately gets his like ankles broken.
Let's get it on.
You any good?
Beat me under the boards, you'll find out.
Check it.
Looks good. Okay, let's see what you got, White Shadow. I think Salami's open. Boom! That was a trouble!
Whatever you say, Chip.
Oh, I see. We're playing prison rules, huh?
I think it's like really funny though that he calls him White Shadow. Like that's like a very small moment that I think works really well. Like, I don't know why. It's just something about like saying, all right, come on, let's see what you got, White Shadow. Like, what the fuck kind of shit is that?
Super fucking random nickname. That was like probably like I don't even know, not an NBA Jam nickname, but I feel like some basketball game in the 90s where they just gave everybody random nicknames. I feel like that was maybe one of those nicknames.
Dude, he totally picked that up off a hot mic in an NBA game or something from like the late 80s, you know?
Yeah.
It's like Magic Johnson or Dr. J or somebody back in the day calling somebody White Shadow.
Yeah.
And it's so ridiculous, you know, he gets his ankles broken and then he starts yelling, travel. And Jack Black's just like making fun of him doing, I don't know, what looks like some kind of like bird motion or something. And he was like, nobody cares, Chip, or something to that nature. He's like, okay, prison rules, I see. And he gets really serious after that. Like he's ready. Just throws the craziest pick, you know, out there. And like he's trying to flex his shoulders and his muscles as much as he can. And like the guy falls on the ground. It's all in slow motion. He's like, just like flexing right over.
First, yeah, he says we're doing prison rules. So like, you know, he's going to start going crazy. And he sets up a screen. And I don't think that is like, that ain't no, that's just a normal thing to do in a basketball game. I think setting up a screen. Jonathan, was it that bad?
No, dude, his feet were firmly planted.
Yeah, what's wrong?
I mean, he set up a legit screen. No foul.
Then he just kind of start getting crazy. After that, he gets crazy. But still, I didn't think that was like necessitated like prison rules, that screen. When he starts groping the guy's ass when he's like guarding him, it's like, okay, that's like a little like Prince Dave Chappelle. Like, you know, that's...
Yeah, it's a little weird. This scene always makes me think of Philip Seymour Hoffman in Along Came Polly when he's playing basketball and he's like, raindrop. He's like shooting the basketball up. Kobe. Yeah, he's like missing every single shot. He's just a terrible basketball player. But like, the cable guy's actually, he can ball. Prison rules.
He's dominating out there. And then his final move. he was waiting this whole time. Gets the ball. Steven, I'm open. I feel like that wasn't even in slow motion. I feel like that was just him. Like, just like...
he just did it slow.
Performing that in slow motion. And he gets the ball and sees Jack Black with his back turned to him, and then he just runs, fucking steps on his back and goes up for a huge tomahawk dunk. And totally shacks it and breaks the backboard and glass everywhere.
He totally Shaqs it. We can't do a podcast, Alex, without Shaq coming up.
I got to figure out a way to mix that into every podcast that I'm on.
Yeah. Steel coming soon, I hope. But yes. That's kind of how the basketball game is concluded. And Steven tells Chip, you ruined the game. Like, you're an asshole. And he eventually kind of like goes home frustrated. And he does the old school thing of checking like your voicemail on that little like machine. It's not a thing that happened. Everyone has a cell phone now, obviously. I'm not, saying anything new there. But back in the day, you had a home phone. And if someone couldn't reach you, they left a message on your home phone. And if it was really old school, they had to say the time. He didn't have one of those, right? Do you remember like people had to like say what time it was because like your tape deck didn't like have any indication of when it was? So people would leave a voicemail like, hey, it's John. It's about 4:05 p.m. I'm just calling to like blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it just brought me back to that. He's got a bunch of messages, of course, from his parents. But then he's got a total of 10 messages from Chip saying like, hey, man, let's get together again. Hey, man. Total like stalker energy is starting, right, Jonathan? I mean, if the basketball game wasn't enough.
Hey, Steven, just checking in. Give me a ring. I'm at 555-4329. What's up, Steve? I'm at a payphone. If you're there, pick up. Pick up, 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 pick up. Okay, I'll be home later. Okay, I'm home. Give me a buzz when you get in. I'll be here pretty much all night. Hey, man. Me again. I was just taking a whiz. Thought you might have called. Okay, later. We're having ourselves quite a little game of phone tag here. I was just blow drying my hair. Thought I heard the phone ring. That ever happen to you? Anyway, call me. We'll talk about it. Steven, I think your machine is... Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's really weird because like right after that basketball game, Steven tells Chip, like, we're not even friends. And then yet by the time he gets home, he's got 10 voicemails, and very like you said, stalker-ish status. Like, hey, I was blow drying my hair and I thought maybe you called. Hey, I was taking a piss and, I thought maybe I missed the phone call from you. And it's like, dude, it's just very weird vibes from that point forward. Like if everything up to this point wasn't already questionable, this really set the tone going forward for the awkwardness between them.
Steven has his date night with Robin where, his ex-girlfriend comes over to his new apartment. They're there to watch Sleepless in Seattle. And, they're kind of just talking on the couch for a while before the movie starts. And right when it's about to begin, the cable goes out. And of course, the cable guy has sabotaged him, right? He wants to put him in a position where he needs him. He basically like extorts Steven into hanging out with him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of like ties the previous couple of scenes before that together where he suggests like, hey, at 9:00, Sleepless in Seattle is going to be on. Invite Robin over. So now Chip knows that Robin's going to be there. He knows what they're going to try to watch. And then he goes in and cuts the cable to their house.
Yeah, except it's not literally cut. It's like
it's just like a switch.
Right? Yeah, but he has like a fake cut cable to like make him look like he's like physically sabotaged them.
It was definitely a premeditated sabotaging scenario. And we find out that Chip's upset because Steven's only calling him to come over to fix the cable because he needs something from him. He's like, if we were friends, this would have just never happened. But since you only want to call me when you need me, well, fuck your cable, I guess.
Please, this is important.
But calling me back isn't.
I'm sorry. Please, can you help me out?
Why should I help you? I gave you free cable. What have you ever done for me?
Anything you want, just name it quickly.
Tomorrow night we hang out.
Fine, anything you want.
God bless you. You're too good to me. You really are.
So Steven does very reluctantly agree to hang out with Chip the next day. He's being forced into this friendship that he basically wants no part of at this point in the movie. He does turn on the cable. He does agree to hang out. And then something kind of interesting, a small scene here where we get to see Chip, because mostly we're following Steven for this movie, Matthew Broderick, but we get to see Chip, the cable guy, and what he's doing while Matthew Broderick is with his girlfriend. And what he's doing is he's watching the same movie in his van right outside their place. So like it kind of leads me to believe that he like lives in his van, right? He has this van and it seems like he sleeps in there. And like that's where he watches TV. That's kind of just his spot.
Yeah, he lives down by the river.
Yeah. And we get a flashback to Chip's childhood where I think the TV was essentially his babysitter, is what they set up in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one scene right there then all of a sudden makes his entire personality click, right? Like, you sort of get the idea that his mother's a drunk, Chip is all on his own, his mom is going out for a night of fun and drinking, and she says to Chip to stay there with Mr. Babysitter, which is the TV. So Chip grew up lonely, no siblings, parents that were never around. The only comfort he had was to live his life through whatever he watched on TV. And so all of this, whatever seems reality to him in present time, comes from everything that he experienced through TV as a child.
His personality is like comprised of bits of things he's picked up from TV, which is kind of like me with movies, except I'm not as weird as Chip. I'm almost there. I did force you into friendship, Jonathan, a long time ago, and you just kind of stuck it out. Thank you for that, by the way.
Hey, man. We've been through some shit.
Sorry about yesterday, by the way. I was in kind of a weird mood. How'd everything go with you? Keeping closed?
Pretty well, we'll see. Look, about the other night, I really
You're not
don't
peeking, are you? Come on now. I want this to be a surprise.
I really don't need to be surprised. Where are we going? Only the finest restaurant in town. Open sesame. Medieval times?
But, you know, in Chip's whole extortion process with Steven, takes him out to dinner, but not just any dinner at a restaurant to like hang out. This is a very special place that they go, Jonathan.
Yeah, absolutely. This was such a nostalgic scene for me, and I'm sure it probably is for both of you guys as well, and probably the listeners, especially if there was a medieval times anywhere remotely close to where you lived, right? Where it was like, that's only an hour away. Like, I could possibly go there one day. I could go to medieval times. And as a kid, I wanted to go there so fucking bad. And I never went there until I was like 6 years ago. First time ever.
No fucking way.
I promise you. Yeah.
You never demanded that your parents take you there after seeing this movie like every other kid who saw this movie?
No, never.
Their stock tripled after this movie, I assume.
I guarantee, at least. But this was so cool and such a memorable scene. So for those that don't know, I hope you all do. I don't really want to spend a bunch of time explaining it, but you go to a dinner and a show. It's a live action medieval type show. They've got horses and knights and kings and queens, and you know, the good knight saves the queen, whatever the fuck.
Andy Dick is there.
Andy Dick is there, unfortunately, teaching blowjobs.
Jerking off in the bathroom.
Yeah, he's hungry like the wolf. Reference to old school.
Yeah.
I know you guys know it. But we get a small appearance from Janine Garofalo as well. And she's very like, I don't know, man. She hates her life. That she hates that she's a server there for medieval times.
She's over it, dude.
Totally over it.
Classic 90s energy of a classic 90s actress.
Welcome to medieval times. I'll be your serving wench, Melinda. Might I fetch you something from the barkeep?
Dost have thou a mug of ale for me and me mate? He has been pitched in battle for a fortnight, and has a king's thirst for the frosty brew, thus thou might have for thus.
I'll be right back, my lord.
My thanks to ye, fair wench.
The disconnected, like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. That's just like such a 90s vibe.
Yeah, you know what I got was, you remember that short-lived TV show Daria from MTV?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude, that was total like Daria vibes from her.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So Chip has this really fun night planned. This is not in Steven's wheelhouse at all. I mean, he's there asking for a knife and a fork, and the server's like, dude, they didn't have fucking silverware in the medieval times. Use your fucking hands, you know? He's like, yeah, but did they have Pepsi back then? You know, and the server's just like, she's just, like Korey said, she's just over it. Like, can you guys just enjoy the show and eat your fucking food?
Welcome to a magnificent journey into the past. This is medieval times! Yeah! Are you prepared for a night of feasting and sport, the likes of which you will never forget? Yes! I charge you to stand up and cheer for your section's night. Let the games begin! The blue knight rules! The red knight sucks the big one! You're going down, red knight! Going down, down, down! Red knight going down! Down, down, down! Red knight going down!
So apparently Chip has an arrangement with the ringmaster, Andy Dick. And I don't want to know what that arrangement is at all.
Sexual favors, almost certainly.
Almost certainly. I'm sure that's why his lower jaw is detached and he's got the lisp.
Got the Andy Dick jaw.
Yeah, he did. Got Andy Dick in the face. And so they do something that, as a kid, I thought that this was actually the way the show really went, which was where they brought people from the audience into the show
to battle to the death.
Yeah, dude. Like, I thought that was so cool, and I wanted everything to do with that. Yeah. I wanted to get up on a horse and fucking joust somebody, dude. Like,
oh fuck yeah!
Especially if it was a sibling, right?
Yes.
Like,
you're gonna joust Lauren?
Yes, dude. 1,000 times I would. My own sister. I would love to just see that joust explode, just hitting her shield. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck your asthma attack. I don't care. But yeah, we get this really like, I feel like the way this scene was set up, they just kind of told Jim Carrey to ad-lib everything. Just make it work. Here's a basic premise and just fill it in. And I'm sure that was probably the case with a lot of his acting and the jokes that he does and stuff like that. They just said, go to town and we'll use what's really good and what isn't. This whole scene is totally worth watching.
We have reached the climax of our competition, good people. And now 2 noblemen from our audience will battle to the death to resolve a grievance. Will a Master Stephen M. Kovacs and a Lord Chip Douglas make your way to the fighting pit?
Let's go.
What's going on?
It appears we're going to do battle, Stephen.
Is this a normal part of the show?
No, but I give all the knights free cable. They said it would be cool if we just went at it for a while.
Well, is it safe?
Sure, that's what the armor's for. Ah!
Nostalgic energy for you, Alex?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been to medieval times. I actually went there in junior high. It was like a class trip for like the world history, and that's what it was. And then I've gone a couple times as an adult. We went recently, I think like 2 years ago, and my son, he was 6 or 7, I can't remember. And so we actually paid for him to get the little like knighting and king ceremony or whatever. And he didn't know anything about it. So he was like super, super excited. And, but you know, sometimes when you do stuff like that for kids, it goes to their head. Cause then, you know, he was like, hey, I'm the king. And I was like, you know what? You're only the king at medieval times. All right.
My daughter was only 2 months old when we took the kids for the first time. And we took like one of those family photos, you know, with the queen and the king and da-da-da.
Yeah.
And we got it printed out. Little did we know, after the fact, my daughter totally puked in that picture. So now we have this like medieval times framed picture of a 2-month-old just puking everywhere.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's awesome. I was like, how do we not print that out and buy it?
When I was a kid, after this movie, I was like, is this place real? And when I heard that it was, I had to go. I had to fucking go. So my dad was nice enough to take me and my cousin Shane, both of which, you know, we loved this movie at the time. And we did one of those photos, like we're back in the day, where they would like superimpose your face on like a body of someone else. So we got our faces superimposed on these huge buff barbarian guys. And that picture, we got it printed out and it was framed and it was up in our house for a long time. But I'd like to think that Medieval Times business went really well after this movie came out. And it is kind of a fun scene. Like, when I think of Medieval Times to this day, I still think of the cable guy. And the fact that Steven and Chip, they go down to the fighting pit and they have to battle to the death, as Andy Dick puts it. And I want to say, Andy Dick is the king. Fucking great. You know, like, I love him in this role. His energy as the king is like so perfect. Like, he's so into it as the king.
Oh yeah, agreed. Definitely.
The two of you make your way down to the fighting pits. Like, he's so in it.
Yeah, this was definitely a little bit before he got super, super weird.
Yes.
When you guys went to Medieval Times as kids, like, were you as hyped as Chip was? It's like, this is his Disneyland.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And anyone that goes and doesn't say you're going down, Red Knight going down, it's like, why even go? You know, like, you got to say that at some point, right?
This whole scene is a regularly quoted scene in my house. So when I went to Medieval Times for the first time at 32 years old, like, my wife told me I was going to be fucking in trouble if I did the chicken skins on my face and said, hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, an improvised scene by Jim Carrey. Famous scene, though, right? Kind of a small note is that he does that, you know, and it's obviously referencing very famous movie, Silence of the Lambs. But there's an actress named Diane Baker who plays Steven's mom in this movie. She was in Silence of the Lambs. She was the senator. She was the mother of the kidnapped woman. So kind of just a small crossover there that I thought was neat.
Interesting.
Also, there's kind of a lot of like Ben Stiller's friends that you see in this movie, which like David Cross at Steven's office and a couple other people I'll talk about later.
I just have one question. Was she a great big fat girl?
Is she a great big fat person?
Sorry.
She was a big girl, yes, Jonathan.
I had to, man. I had to.
So they do fight at Medieval Times, and like the setup for this is that Jim Carrey, as the cable guy, he can give people free cable. So basically, he can get favors from anyone at any time for anything, including give free cable to the staff of Medieval Times, and we'll let you do whatever you want. You can go into the fighting pit with real swords and basically kill each other. We don't care. Okay, fine. You know, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief here, right?
All right. You want to play rough?
Daddy can play rough.
It's like when Spock had to fight Kirk on Star Trek. Best friends forced to do battle.
Dude, Steven actually legit almost died.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably a half an inch away from getting his fucking guts slit open.
Yeah.
I mean, that was wild.
And then what? You know, then what happens?
See, and that's where, like, one of the fan theories about Sam and Stan was that the cable guy actually tried to befriend one, and then same situation happened, like, between him and Steven, and then the cable guy got the brother killed and blamed it on the other one.
So a fan theory is that the cable guy was involved with Stan or
Yeah.
Sam Sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard, but, you know, Medieval Times, I think a lot of the people that work there, very pissed off. You know, there were strikes like going on for a while. So I know they're vastly underpaid for what they do. Maybe it would just take free cable to be able to let them do something like this.
They need something. Give them fucking spare change, you know?
I promise you these guys did not have good insurance and benefits back then.
I love Medieval Times. This scene's all right. Looking back on it, the memorable stuff to me is really Andy Dick. And I know that's weird to say because he's a fucking weird creep, but I like his performance. The fight is a little bit watered down. You know, they don't really hurt each other. It's kind of like you clank another guy on the head with a sword and his helmet gets turned around backwards. They throw dirt in their eyes. They tackle each other. You know, it is what it is. It's fine. It's really there to develop their relationship because at this point, when they go home after the Medieval Times, Steven is no longer trying to like break up with Chip. which he was trying to do when they got there. You know, he was trying to like set Chip up to say like, look, I want to tell you something, man. And you know he's going to say, I don't want to be friends with you in some way.
Yeah.
But after that night, he gives that up. They kind of do actually form a bond.
Do you think that Chip let Steven win on purpose in order to solidify that because he knew that that breakup was coming?
He is very conniving, so that's possible.
Yeah.
No way. He seems like the most competitive person ever to me.
No way, he says.
I do agree. I feel like he is extremely competitive, but I think, like Korey said, he's so thoughtful and manipulative in what he's doing. I think that that was a planned loss.
He took the L, huh?
Yeah.
It was a work. It's like wrestling.
Yep.
I mean, he is the heel.
So they go back to Steven's place, and Chip has somehow arranged an upgrade of Steven's home entertainment system. This is something that does come up later, but what does he give him, Jonathan? What's the...
Oh my God. I mean, this was like the most massive like theater speaker systems and amplifiers, subwoofers, the karaoke machine, and like this huge, just massive TV for the time. I mean, this was probably like $10,000 worth of stuff at the time, for sure.
What do you think? What is all this? It appears as if someone has taken the liberty of updating your home entertainment system. I got you the big screen TV, deluxe karaoke machine, and THX quality sound that would make George Lucas cream in his pants.
The TV looks like shit now, though, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it looked like, from what I could tell, it was a flat screen TV.
Yeah,
but that's not the definition of flat screen TV that we know today.
It's not the colloquial flat screen.
No.
But you're right. Flat screen used to mean that the screen was not curved.
So the glass was actually flat. It was, and then there was a huge projector behind the TV. So you definitely had to like stick one of those things in an entertainment center or stick it in the corner of the room, because the thing was probably like, what, 24 inches deep, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
But it was new at the time that the screen was actually flat, because for 50, 60 years before that, all of the screens were in a curved glass formation in order to properly project from inside the images.
Yeah, most CRTs, like the curve of the screen was like outward toward the viewer, and then they had like the big screens where it was like curved inward sometimes. You remember those?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely high tech for the time.
Yeah.
But obviously Steven's reaction is like, this ain't fucking cool, man. This is weird, right? Like, first of all, you somehow broke in, and then you like are giving me all this free shit. Like the red flags are being raised. And Steven, rightfully so, says like, you have to take this back. And Chip says, all right, but I can't do it until like the weekend. So in the meantime, let's have a fucking rager. Let's have a party and let's use this karaoke machine.
Listen, that equipment is going to be history soon. Let's break the cherry on that karaoke machine.
What does that mean?
Tomorrow night, karaoke jam, your place. No ifs, ands, or buts. Well, maybe a few buts. Big ones!
American woman, stay away from me. American woman, mama, let me be. Don't come hanging around.
Summer of love, baby. Such a funny scene, because you don't really know what's going to be happening with this party, and all Steven wants to do is get back with Robin. That's it. And Chip just wants to party. And there's all these random people like at the party, and like there's no kind of rhyme or reason on how all these people fit together. And, you know, it all comes together when Chip says, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of preferred customers.
Preferred customers, right? So these are people that Chip invited. None of them are really like Steven's people, except for Jack Black, who's there for like a total of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was really weird how Chip, he was like, hey, thanks for accepting my invitation to Jack Black. And he was like, Steven invited. It's awkward.
There's one like nostalgic point that I did want to hit on real quick on that scene, which was the line was THX quality that would make George Lucas cream in his pants.
Cream in his pants. Cream in his pants. They echo it later.
The thing is, today's kids don't know about THX. And they don't know how fucking dope you knew that audio and movie was gonna be when you sat in a movie theater and the THX screen came up, that like ominous deep to bright sounding tone range was, that it was George Lucas THX sound quality. Like, that was unfucking real, dude. And that still hits every single time for me.
It would blow out your eardrums when you heard it in a movie theater, first of all.
It was fucking epic.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
It was always so loud. Even when it played like on TV. Like,
yeah. But it was just such an indication to the range of sound that you were going to hear. Like, and whether it was bullshit or not, it was like, oh my God, it really set the tone for whatever you were going to watch. You were like, this is going to sound fucking amazing.
It was cool. Yeah. It's very nostalgic to hear that noise.
And then when Dr. Dre used it in his album, Chronic 2001, and then got sued for it. Epic, man. What a time to be alive.
You have some nice friends. They're just preferred customers. Whoa! Tickler at 2 o'clock. What a licorice!
So at the karaoke party, Chip's friends consist of like 10 old people, like 10 people that are like easily above 80 years old. There's one guy that's like a poor man's Jeff Goldblum. There's one guy that's Roach from The People Under the Stairs, completely random and out of place. Kind of looks like Kip from Napoleon Dynamite, but he's an actor I've seen before. And there's one ultra 90s babe named Heather there.
And a cop. Don't forget the cop.
Oh yeah, there's 2 cops there in uniform for some reason.
Surprise guests we'll see later.
Yeah, Heather. She was digging him. I mean, they're talking and, you know, the music's really loud. And he was like, hey, can I get you a beer? She was like, how about a tequila? And he was like, oh, even better. And she's like, I can't hear you. You want to go in the room and talk? And I don't know if he felt that it was weird that it was the easiest way that he's ever been laid in his life. I mean, we'll find about what really happened, you know, I'm sure in the next scene. But it was just like perfect for him. This whole party was perfect.
You might recognize this song as performed by Jefferson Airplane in a little documentary called Give Me Shelter about the Rolling Stones and their nightmare at Altamont. That night, the Oakland chapter of the Hells Angels had their way. Tonight, it's my turn. When the truth is found to be light, and all the joy within you died, don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody?
But a famous moment in the movie is Jim Carrey doing Somebody to Love, the Jefferson Airplane song.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I've talked about how much I hate that band in another podcast. That was the Star Wars Holiday Special episode. I really can't stand their fucking music. This is no exception, but maybe I think I like Jim Carrey's version a little bit better. Is that a weird thing to say?
Jim Carrey went all out for this performance. It was awesome to see. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie for a long time until prepping for this show. And he goes off when he hits that high note. And it's kind of like his Adam's apples like bobbing up and down. He kills it.
This performance is exactly if Jim Carrey's intrusive thoughts of how to sing this song just went off. And
he let
just
the intrusive thoughts win?
Oh, dude, absolutely. This was 100% intrusive thought. exertion, and it ended up being pretty fucking cool the way that they edited everything together for this.
It's like almost like a montage, because it's like that's happening in the background while Steven is in his bedroom hooking up with Heather. Now Jim Carrey does pop in to take some Polaroids of it. Weird, but all right. But yeah, Steven gets lucky.
Does he actually bang her though?
I think so. I think that's what's...
You think he had enough time in that 3 minutes of singing Somebody
She stayed
to
the
Love?
night and then left early in the morning.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
He was definitely drugged, right? Like, I mean, there was some kind of like drugging going on to him. Like, he was fully out of it when he was like on the bed, like with her.
I think he just had too much tequila.
Yeah, I don't take him as a big drinker.
My first thought was like, we find out later, but all of this was like Chip's big plan. Everything's super calculated. So I felt like she wanted tequila because that was where that was how he was going to get drugged. That in my mind, that's what happened.
You think he got drugged? Man, that adds a weird layer to this movie.
Like, he takes a shot or two, like he doesn't really, actually, you only see him take one shot and that's it. And then they go back to the room. And like, it was when Jim Carrey pops in to take the Polaroid, like he just looks completely out of it. Like he doesn't really know where he is. I mean, they're all sloppy kissing and stuff. I feel like he got drugged and never had sex with her.
What do you think, Jonathan? Did he do the deed?
I don't know, man. I think he's too much of a pussy.
Right?
I mean, to be honest, like
I think he did, because otherwise, why would he be so freaked out the next day?
Well, there's that. Yeah. The next scene reveals
Yeah.
probably more truth to the story. But before you see the next scene, I like to think that he probably didn't go through it. I mean, he's such, for lack of a better term, he is a pussy, right? Yep. And he finds out that Robin went on a date with somebody else that night too. And that's why he agreed to potentially bang this chick anyways. So it's kind of a 50-50 to me until next scene.
I borrowed this sweatshirt. Hope you don't mind. Bacon and eggs coming up.
Where did Heather go?
Oh, I heard her leaving early this morning. You cad.
Oh, what a night. That was just what I needed.
Well, I'll tell you something. You look like a new man.
I feel like a new man. I was getting so used to being rejected. I really liked her.
Hey, who's my treat?
What do you mean it was your treat?
I bought this time, you buy next time.
Buy what?
What do you mean by what? The women.
Do you mean that Heather is a prostitute?
Of course she is. You think a woman like that would hang out with us if we weren't paying?
Oh my God. This can't be happening.
And this is where they're kind of like buddies now. Like they kind of have like formed an actual friendship. After
when you
the
party
medieval
with
times.
somebody, you kind of, develop that.
Well, even during the party, they were both like kind of like singing together,
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Chip was like, "Oh, go talk to that girl, whatever."
It was probably the first time that Steven had a good time with Chip.
Yep.
Was at that party.
But everything's ruined because he learns that she's a prostitute. And to me, I would have been like, "That's kind of weird, but I'm okay with it."
I mean, I got laid and I didn't have to pay for it.
He was so disgusted, and it's so funny because Chip, he was like, I know she's a working girl, but she kind of liked you.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you could have even gotten a freebie. I know where he came up with that. Like,
I love when he's like, well, I got her this time and you can get the girls next time.
That part I would have been pissed about. I would have been like,
Yeah.
I never agreed to that, motherfucker. I'm not fucking buying hookers for us. You want to buy hookers for us? That's on you. Don't expect me.
He's got money to spend. He's freaking taking money from people to juice up their cable, and he's living in a van. Dude, he doesn't even pay rent.
Do you think she banged Steven for free cable?
No.
Cable is expensive. I'm just gonna say. It's like you said, Korey. She totally looked out of place, and now we know why. You think a girl that hot would hang out with us if we weren't paying her? Makes all the sense in the world now.
She's totally clean. I checked her out about a week ago. Make sure she was top quality.
And I'm healthy as a horse, not a drip.
Would you like some jouets?
You're kidding me, right? She's a friend of yours. You're just messing with my mind, right?
I wish I had friends like that.
Get out of my house.
What are you so ashamed of? I know she was a working girl, but she kind of liked you. You might even have been able to get a freebie. Who knows?
Just get out now. I don't ever want to see you again. Robin's never going to forgive me.
Well, I'll tell you how you handle that. Don't tell her. You want her back? I'll help you get her back.
I don't want
can
your
do
help.
that.
I just want you out of my apartment.
Yeah, so Steven is not happy about this, and this is where he basically tells Chip to fuck off, like I can't believe you did this to me kind of thing. And he runs him out of the apartment, and Chip is determined to like fix things with Steven. So this is where we get a scene that I think maybe is my favorite in the whole movie here. Because Robin Harris is on a date with a man. Not just any man, Owen Wilson.
Yes.
And this is like Owen Wilson before he was Owen Wilson. There's also a few other people in this movie that you see them and it's kind of like a little bit before they're famous. One of them I'll bring up soon. But anyway, it's Owen Wilson on a date with Robin, and he's like a total dick.
Excuse me, pardon me. Hey, what's the story with our chicken, man? Your chicken. Have the eggs had a chance to hatch yet? Well, maybe you can go check on it for me, my friend, if it's not too much trouble for you. All right, I'm sorry to put you out. You can see the attitude? Unbelievable. Look at him, like hysterical now. What were we talking about? Your job, what's that like? What's your job like?
It's a little crazy right now. We're just sort of
Hold that thought for just a second. I need to use the head, and I'll be right back. I want to find out about your job. I'm interested. I'm curious about it.
And what is the story with the chicken?
He's such a fucking douchebag, right, Jonathan?
Oh, absolutely, dude. He doesn't give a fuck about anything except for his own ego and the fact that he wants to do anything he can to just basically bang Robin that night.
Exactly. And it's probably ultimately a good thing for Steven's relationship that she's on a date with a guy like this, because it'll make her appreciate Steven more.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that Chip intervenes on this date. And that's what I love about this scene, is that he shows up to this restaurant in a disguise. He has this mustache and glasses on. It's like Groucho Marx kind of shit.
Total creep mustache.
Total creep mustache. And he's also like moving weird. He's slithering around the restaurant like a fucking snake. You know, Jim Carrey is so good at like physical movements, just doing stuff kind of funny. And he meets up with Owen Wilson in the bathroom. And he's pretending to be a bathroom attendant and like just like really getting close to him. And the first moment that I think is great is when Owen Wilson leaves the urinal, goes into the stall to get away from him. And then Jim Carrey just like slips right under the stall, like a snake. That shit is good.
Yeah, absolutely. The way he just kind of pops up right in there and so smooth and natural. Good stuff.
If you need anything, just let me know. Anything at all.
Don't bother. I think I got it under control.
It's no trouble, really. Man, what is your... People rarely take advantage of all my services. Let me help you wash up. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
You're on a big date.
You'll need to look your best.
And then he proceeds to just like beat the shit out of him. Just like,
yeah, epic, man. I mean, what a bathroom fight, right? Like the swirly, the powder to the face.
Yeah, he's like,
plucks his eyebrows out one by one.
And then like finishes with a nose hair, like the most painful of all. And then he takes him to the hand drying machine and he goes like, suck on this. And he like puts his mouth on it. And meanwhile, he's like dancing around and scatting. I fucking love that scene, dude. It's so good.
What's a better fight scene? This one or Liar Liar? Both bathroom fights.
I like this one a lot more than the Liar Liar one.
Same.
I like Liar Liar because I like to see him beat his own fucking ass.
I like in Liar Liar, like when he pauses and he explains to someone what he's doing.
Yeah.
Someone's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind?
So good.
I like that. But with this, I don't know. It's kind of satisfying to see Owen Wilson get beat down.
So was Owen Wilson ugly before getting his ass beat or after?
The nose?
Yeah, dude, the nose was the same, wasn't it?
So, peanuts. Don't worry about the tip. But I've got one for you. Stay away from Robin. She's taken. Squid up! Squid up!
Here's a bizarre story from downtown where a man was beaten in a restroom by an assailant disguised as a bathroom attendant. The victim has been unable to speak since this unmotivated attack. A police sketch artist put together this drawing from witnesses' descriptions. We'll be right back.
Tonight on UPN, the trial that's captured the nation. Everybody.
And then it's like on the news, right? And it's like this weird, like, police sketch version of Jim Carrey with a mustache that looks like the fucking Unabomber or something. He looks insane in the police sketch. It's really good.
I think he's got a hoodie on and stuff too, right? Like in the sketch.
I don't know, but it's something about the glasses and like they got the face all wrong, so it just doesn't look like him.
Yeah, it was definitely Ted Kaczynski freaking vibes on that sketch.
And Matthew Broderick, it was a weird type of look. It was like he felt some kind of way, like seeing that sketch as well. I can't really put my finger on it, but
it was a almost recognition, right?
Right.
Like he nearly recognized him, but like kind of wrote it off.
Like, nah, it can't be. It can't be. It totally was.
So Chip does this whole thing to like improve Steven's standing with Robin. But in addition to that, he like shows up at Robin's place and gives her free cable. So he kind of like gets to know Robin a little bit through that. And Robin calls Steven and says, you know what, like I kind of want to work things out. Let's get things back together. You gave me free cable. What a nice gift. And it's right after that Steven confronts Chip. Or rather, Chip confronts Steven, but Steven basically says, like you would to a little kid, like, I don't want to be your friend. Like, he says it as plainly as he can. And Chip goes into full-on villain mode from there on.
Yeah, I'm a big boy. Like, that was like where he's about to cry. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. But he can't.
Am I imagining things that when he went to Robin's house that he planted cameras? Like, there was that scene where he was, like, peeking at her while she was changing and, like, noticed her birthmark on her back and stuff. And, like, it was just very, like, odd. Why was he up in the attic of the house?
He was pulling cable, but, like, I said this out loud when I was watching the movie. He was literally pulling cable, like, you know? That's why he's up there, because he's bringing a cable. But, like, instead of using the stick, he's literally pulling cable, like, by hand.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like he was up to some more shenanigans that they just probably didn't put in the movie.
Yeah, whenever he does is like pretty devious, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that he like looked in on her changing was pretty sketch, dude.
Yeah.
There is a part later, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, where they show off like one of their conversations from in the house. I don't know if that's her house or if that was Steven's house.
That was Steven's house.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that soon. When Chip goes on full-on villain mode, one of the first things he does, Alex, is he gets Steven arrested for receiving stolen property, right?
Oh, yeah. The cops show up to Steven's work, and he has no idea what's going on. It's like, I'm assuming it's his secretary or something. He's like, come over here. And he doesn't want to leave because he's in some meeting, and the cops come in. Just kick down the door damn near, and Steven, you are arrested. For what? For receiving stolen property. And then he knew it. He knew that this whole thing has been a setup with Chip. It was like he knows that all of this didn't seem right, and now he's going to jail, and he fucked up by letting him keep his stuff there. You know, quote unquote, keep his stuff there.
These cops were at the karaoke party, by the way.
Yep. They definitely were.
Yeah, so they were there, and they're the ones that take Steven in. So Steven's in jail for like a few days. He does eventually get out on bail, but Chip visits him, right, Alex?
Oh yeah. And Chip is just a fucking weirdo, you know? Like, that's really the only way that I can say this. Like, first off, like, Matthew Broderick's pissed when he sees him. He's like, Steven, I was just teaching you a lesson. And, oh man, you know, just the sadisticness of, like, you know, just this psycho coming out. And then just making sure, I forget what movie he said it was from, but this is probably the most iconic part in the movie, because I remember, I mean, we saw this on the movie trailers and it was probably on TV, like all the
trailers, yeah.
Where he rips out his nipple, shoves it up against the glass, and oh, Billy. And then the guy sitting next to Steven gives him a little wink.
But it's not like bad enough that Chip has like sent Steven to jail. He also like wants him to be raped. Like, you know, like
yeah.
This dude, his
So
evil knows no bounds at this point. He even gets worse than this, I think. But the movie that he's referencing is Midnight Express,
there you go.
where a dude's visited in jail and he like tells the woman to like take her top off and then she shoves her tits against the glass. But I think this is more famous than Midnight Express at this point. Like, this has a bigger cultural impact. Like where we are now, I think.
I think people know this scene and they don't even know anything about the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, show me your Oh Billy. They can do it, but they don't know why or what the context is for the movie.
It's Cable Guy, right? Oh, Billy.
What are you doing? Stop it. Stop it.
I know how you're feeling right now.
Stop it. Stop it. Don't do that.
I'm here for you.
Don't do that. Jesus Christ, you're going to get me killed. Out of here.
Oh, Billy. I'm just messing with you. Remember Midnight Express? Oliver Stone won the Academy Award for Best Screenplay. Awesome scene.
So yeah, Chip trying to get Matthew Broderick raped in jail, also got him in jail. And then Matthew Broderick eventually gets out on bail and he goes to visit his parents, and Chip is there, Jonathan, at their house.
He
in
is.
like a fucking goofy ass sweater playing Mr. Nice Guy. Also, I want to say real quick before you go into the scene, Jonathan, Bob Odenkirk is there.
Yeah.
So Bob Odenkirk, Saul Goodman, Better Call Saul Breaking Bad, plays the mentioned brother of Steven. Steven has said that he has a brother who's a speech therapist. He's fucking there, and he has like 2 lines, but it's just weird to see like these actors that are like randomly popping up in this movie because they're stand-up comedians that basically know Ben Stiller and he got him work. You know, Janine Garofalo is there.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk is there. David Cross is there.
Owen Wilson.
Yep, Owen Wilson. A bunch of Ben Stiller's friends. It's kind of cool. But anyway, how does this particular visit go?
Yeah, so this visit is very socially awkward for Steven because he literally wants nothing to do with Chip, and nobody in this family knows that Chip is basically like ruined Steven's life right now because they don't want to be friends. To the rest of the family, including Robin, Chip is just this amazing, awesome guy that is a cable guy, and he's a dear friend, and he's just the sweetest guy out there. And it's kind of funny because I picture Jim Carrey in this scene very much like
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber Christmas scene where he's the life of the party. It's somebody else's place, but he's hosting, he's entertaining, everybody loves him. He's just totally the center of attention. Very much the same vibes.
Except he doesn't light a fart on fire and like start a nuclear blast in the living room.
Yeah, and he's not like throwing nuts in his face and, you know, just being super awkward.
Honestly, that scene from Dumb and Dumber is good. This one is all right, but
yeah.
You guys have never played Porno Password? It's the adult version of the popular television game show. Robin, you're on my team. Steven, you're with Mom. You're the judges.
They decide that they're going to do some family board games, right? And what game better than Porno Password? I've never played this with my family, so I'm pretty sure.
You never played Regular Password?
Nah.
So we used to play Regular Password in school when I was in 4th grade, so I knew the game.
Yeah.
It is based on an old game show. But, you know, it's pretty straightforward,
Sure.
right? You give clues and someone has to guess the word.
Yeah.
But they do like the X-rated version of it with his parents.
Yeah, Steven is by far the most awful player ever. First of all, he doesn't want to talk about anything weird like with his parents, you know. He's very reserved in that manner, but the clues that he gives is just so stupid, because all he does is repeatedly say the same clue louder and more forcefully every time, rather than provide more clues. You know, it's like, yeah, it's like the password is vagina, and he's just like, woman, woman, woman. You know, it's like the next one is like tits or something like that, and he's just like center. Oh no, it was nipple. And he's like center. It's like, how the fuck are you supposed to get the word nipple from center? You know?
Peanut. Penis. Penis.
Vagina?
Yes! She got vagina. She got vagina.
I would have said Sean.
Hey, now we're starting to get this.
Would you play Porno Password with your mom?
No,
you'd
if
be
we
like
had the whole family there, we would.
No
yeah.
way, dude.
Yeah,
You'd be like Steven.
Dude, we've actually played. Man, I can't remember the name of it now, but we played some other wild ass games, and we had to like teach my grandma what a queef is. And like somehow the answer for one of the questions was like a cum shot facial or something that my grandmother had to speak out loud. Like, dude, this shit was hilarious. Man.
Okay, I take back what I said.
Yeah, don't ever be in that situation where you have to teach your grandma what a queef is.
My grandma knows what a queef is. I don't have to teach her shit. She taught me what a queef is.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna ask her publicly on Facebook.
No, I've had enough. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not playing Porno Password with him.
Steven, I really think you're overreacting.
I'm not overreacting. You're all being fooled by him. He's not like this. He's a lunatic and he's a felon.
Whoa! Everybody just relax. We knew this was gonna happen.
Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening.
Steven? This is a safe place. You're with people who love you. Right, everyone?
Yes, I hate you! Get out of my life!
He's projecting all of his anger onto me. Maybe I should go.
No, don't go. Steven, you are being an asshole.
What?
You see what's happening right now? You're hitting bottom.
You stay away from me.
Come on now. This is where the healing begins. Come on. Come on. Robin showed me the birthmark on her left shoulder. It's very sexy. What the hell is wrong with you, man?
So Steven is made to be very uncomfortable. And I think Chip eggs him on to the point where Steven like punches him, you know? Chip wanted this reaction. He wants to like lower Steven's standing amongst his family and like raise his own. Chip wants to be seen as the good guy and for Steven to be seen as the bad guy. And it's pretty much mission accomplished here. And things get even worse for Steven because the next day at work, he starts his day normally and then he goes to his computer where like his screensaver says like, I got a surprise for you, Steven. And then he like opens, I don't know, his email or a file or something on his computer. And it's fucking hidden camera footage from inside his house when he was on a date with Robin when she came over and they watched Sleepless in Seattle. And he's talking shit about his boss. And he's fired for it. But that shit irks me to no end. Because like, yes, he got him arrested. Yes, he made him look bad in front of his family. But he also set up hidden cameras in his fucking house. And in the privacy of his own home, he said some things about his boss and he gets fired for it.
Yeah.
It ain't right, man.
Yeah, the 90s were wild, dude.
Yeah.
But and it's really like unfortunate because it was really a point where Steven was kind of peaking, you know? Like he was doing the best he had been in a long time. Socially, he was like getting out there more. He was potentially going to be fixing things with Robin. He landed a big deal at work and was doing really well with work. And then all of a sudden, everything is just 100% crashing because of Chip's master plan here.
How's Hal?
Oh, don't get me started. That man, he has no vision. It's like working for Mr. Magoo. Now, if only somebody at corporate would wise up and dump Hal. And those Hair plugs. It's just so awful to look at.
I know.
Hair plugs, hair plugs, hair plugs.
I know, I know, I know.
You're so pathetic. You're so pathetic. I hate him, 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 hate him.
Chip's resources seem to like no bounds. Like somehow he got into like their work servers and like uploaded this file of Steven at home, and he changed Steven's screensaver to say like I have a surprise for you or something. So like how he did this is like, I think it's a bit of a stretch at this point, right?
You can do anything on the information superhighway.
Oh yeah, that's right. He knows the internet. He knows how the internet works.
Yeah, exactly.
He
was a hacker, dude.
Hacker man.
Yeah.
He's like 1993 Jurassic Park hacker. He's like I mean, not only that, but like it just seems like he has control of everything, right? Steven leaves his office with his like box of shame, I just got fired box. He's in the parking structure of his work, and like every car alarm starts going off, like as Steven walks by him. Again, he's just like an omnipresent being, the cable guy, right? Like he
Yeah, like that was really a weird scene. It was very like, it's very dark and kind of
it's like
fuck with your mind a
horror
little bit.
movie-ish.
Yeah. And I mean, if I were Steven walking out with all of my personal belongings from my office, I probably got sodomized over the weekend in jail. Like my family hates me. Robin hates me. I have no friends. And then you're walking down the row of cars in the parking garage and all of this weird shit starts happening. Like, I mean, that, if I ever wanted to kill myself, that would probably be it right there.
Yeah, that's just pretty much rock bottom for him. This is where like the movie kind of rides this weird line of being like no longer like a Jim Carrey 90s comedy. It was kind of like that at the karaoke scene. You know, he's Jim Carreying around. He's like singing. He's acting a fool. But now it's like vaguely a horror movie. It's like a thriller horror. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think this is why the movie got kind of criticized for being like weird, is because it really dips its toe into some like dark territory, but it's trying to kind of be a dark comedy. But honestly, I don't think it works very well. It doesn't fully know what it is, this movie.
I feel like it couldn't have been dark for the entirety of the movie. It's only this last 20, 30 minutes of it is the only place that really works. And it can't stay dark the entire time.
Yeah.
It's got to make that full U-turn back to a funny, positive type thing.
I just don't think the movie handles the tone shifting very well. And I think
it was very harsh.
Yeah.
For sure. Like it was just like a light switch, like an on off from potential like this is a weird, strange, funny comedy to like this is kind of fucked up and like creepy. Like I said, just a switch, absolute switch, not a transition.
Hello? Bingo! My 3 sons. Chip and Ernie Douglas. I got a list here of every cable installer fired in the last 4 years. Check out some of these names. Murray Slaughter, George Jetson, Jean-Luc Picard. There's even a guy who liked to be called the Big Ragu. Carmine from Laverne and Shirley. That's so sad that you know that. Anyway, the cable company in town fired a guy 6 months ago named Darren Stevens. You may remember his boss, Larry Tate, from a little show called Bewitched. So, he doesn't even work for the cable company. Yahtzee! They booted his ass for stalking customers. This guy is deeply troubled. If I were you, I'd lock up tight.
And I think some of the creepy scenes are like what we see here, where Jack Black's on the phone with Matthew Broderick and he's telling him like, oh, Chip Douglas is a fake name. Like, I looked into this guy. He's always used fake names. He has like a history of stalking. And you get like that kind of like montage scene of him like locking his doors and like locking his windows and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a memorable scene, Alex, is the dream sequence nightmare that Matthew Broderick has. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's definitely one of the freaky scenes of this movie. And I feel like this was also something that was somewhere in the movie trailer, but just like the tiny little piece where it's like his eyes are all like super yellow or whatever the hell it is. He's freaked out at this point, you know, because like, yeah, you guys are talking about it turning and stuff, but like literally from the beginning, so much sketchy shit is happening because of Chip and the way that he's acting. So
Sure, but it's lighthearted, sketchy shit.
it is.
Now it's like Jim Carrey with like glow in the dark contacts breaking down his door and shit, you know?
And rapes and nipples. And
I thought the part was funny where he's like, he's hitting it real hard, and then he hits it and like hurts his arm. And he's, ah!
Yeah. There was some funny stuff in there actually, because when he's like pretends to leave,
yeah,
he's like, see you later. Bye. Like,
it's funny that
that's kind of fun.
this is his dream that he's having. You know, like it's not like this is really happening. This is the way that
Like even in his dream, he's like a goofball.
Super goofball.
And then Jim Carrey calls Steven on the phone, like, after the dream has ended. And there's a great touch. I'm sure you guys noticed it. When, like, he's being super creepy to Steven on the phone and, like, a spider just crawls across his face.
Yeah.
That was a really good touch.
it was like, it doesn't fit, but it fits. Yeah, it was very, very weird.
Something, like, very disturbing about that.
I actually had to, like, rewatch that 10 seconds just to make sure that I was like, I saw exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, wait, was that really that?
But this is where the movie gets a little bit chaotic, Jonathan. We're wrapping up here. We're kind of like in the last act. And I don't think there's a lot of good reason for decisions that are being made by Chip at this point. But what happens is he essentially kidnaps Robin, right?
Yeah, so he has actually really befriended Robin at this point, and because Steven is the bad guy, Robin trusts Chip to go somewhere with him, and he takes her down the information superhighway, same place that he took Steven, and takes her out to the big satellite dish. And he starts to explain, like he does the same exact scene almost word for word in his explanation, and you kind of get the vibe that maybe he's like tormenting Steven by doing this to Robin, or is he just trying to move on? Is this his next friend that he's trying to take on? How many people has he done this to in the past and then just moved on to the next potential, top tier customer?
Yeah.
I'm
convinced that he's not trying to be her friend because he like ties her up and like hangs her somehow like a damsel in distress.
Once you get to that point, yes. Then you see that it's actually very like vengeful towards Steven.
It doesn't make sense that he does this. It's like it does not help his endgame at all. And like this is where like the movie has problems with the script, I think. Right?
Mhm.
The writing is just wrong because when it gets to the third act here, character decisions and logic just kind of go out the window.
Yeah, it was
like
really
kind
kinda
of kidnap
trailing.
Robin. Steven has to come rescue him. They kind of have to have a final battle. It doesn't really make sense, and I don't think a lot of this is great. But there are small things that I enjoy about it, if I'm going to be generous. I like that Chip has a staple gun instead of like a gun.
Yeah.
And like he holds a staple gun against Robin's head and he like shoots staples at Steven, which doesn't like hurt him, but it's like annoying. Like
Yeah. Well, they would use the staple guns to attach cable to the side of the house and stuff like that.
So it makes sense that he has it, but
it's right there in the van.
To use it as a weapon is like kind of funny. You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, he could have easily probably, brought the drill with that long drill bit, drill through her skull or something.
Put it to her temple,
or
like
a fucking
fucking pie.
hammer or something,
Yeah, but they have to kind of like climb to the top of the big satellite, and it's like the big showdown. The cops are coming. There's a police helicopter shining a light down on him. I mean, even Steven asks him, like, what's your plan? And he's like, I actually don't know.
I don't have a plan. It's taking this a minute at a time.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I think, a problem with the script, is that they have to kind of like resort to that as the answer.
You think maybe it wasn't a scripting issue, that it was a character issue where he didn't know what to do because he'd never seen a resolution in a movie from that scene?
I think both of those kind of fall in the same category a bit. Talking about small moments that I do like, though. Again, this final confrontation is mostly like kind of boring and lame. It's kind of just them like wrestling around in the water a little bit and having like a verbal confrontation. But when the cop light like shines down on Chip, he like looks at it and he like speaks to his mom directly. Do you remember that? He says like, "You were never there for me, were you, mother?" And the music swells. I think there was something a little bit like touching about that. Like I kind of like feel bad for him for a moment when he says that, you know? And I think that flashback we saw earlier helped. So I think that's kind of one of the highlights of what I consider to be like a really generally pretty shitty third act scene.
Yeah. He just never really had anything besides TV to help him through his formative years, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You want me to quiet down and just chill out in front of the TV for a while, is that it? You were never there for me, were you, Mother? You expected Mike and Carol Brady to raise me.
He was raised by TV. I mean, that's what I took from this.
Yeah.
And even when they show the flashback and he was like, Mom, I thought you were, going to get me a brother. And she was like, that's why I'm going to happy hour.
Trying to get lucky, yeah. So ultimately, Chip here decides to release Robin and to just kill himself, right? He's caused enough chaos where, like, I'm sure he's, like, gonna go to prison for a long time at this point. But rather than facing that, he just jumps off the top of the satellite in a suicide attempt. And I think what he plans to do is, like, land on this spike right in the middle of the satellite, right, Jonathan? That would basically, like, impale him.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with his luck, he misses it by about 2 inches and is just then stuck on the platform that holds this spike. And he's probably got a broken back and broken ribs and stuff.
Yeah, so he's still alive, but he's fucked up. But what happens is that he's, like, taken out, like, TV for that cable company, like, all around town. It's, like, a very, like, important moment for, like, live TV viewing where they're gonna kind of give the verdict of this trial we've been seeing where Ben Stiller's playing Sam and Stan Sweet.
Yep.
And it's like the big culmination. All of America is like tuned in for this moment. Is he guilty or not guilty? And like right when they're about to say it, like the TV goes out because he lands on that.
This is the moment America has been waiting for. We have just been informed that the
jury has
is ready
notified
to
the judge that they've reached a verdict. So
the verdict back to the clerk. We are live. The jury is seated, and the verdict in the Sam Sweet case is watching. 40 millones
которого находится вся Америка. Приговор Сэму Суиту с минуты на минуту будет зачитан. This is real life.
Away from hearing
Sam Sweet himself grabbed the case of California versus This is the moment of truth, Mr. Sweet.
Samuel Jacob Sweet has been found.
Preferred customer, my ass.
That's kind of neat, and I like seeing Andy Dick again. Like, oh, come on, preferred customer, my ass.
That was one of the best parts of the movie because all of them have free cable.
Yeah.
You know what though? That trial would have not been broadcasted on the juiced up cable. All that trial would have been on basic cable.
Basic cable, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, regular TV channel.
I guarantee you all those people had backup like bunny ear antennas for their TVs back then, you know? They could have switched over. I don't feel sorry for them.
But all of America was like on the edge of their seats. They missed the final say. But it cuts to a few people, like we talked about, Andy Dick. It cuts to Kyle Gass, who is one half of Tenacious D.
Oh, shit.
So, you know, Jack Black is in this movie.
Yeah.
And then Kyle is in this movie for one scene. He doesn't have any words, but he's like watching TV. It's so stupid, this scene. It's so stupid that it's good, I think. He's watching the TV. The TV goes to static. So he like leans over to his right and like picks up a book off his like bookshelf or off his table and just flips to a random page and starts reading it with a smile. He doesn't start at the beginning of the book. He just flips to a random fucking page and starts reading this book. And it's like, there's some kind of message here, right? Like, maybe don't be so addicted to TV, right? It's like super heavy-handed in that moment, but in a way that I think is funny.
I agree. And I feel like the mid-90s right there was really like peak TV fad, you know? Like, if you had a TV, everybody was watching. That was really like when also electronics became so much more affordable as far as TVs and stuff like that. So it was more realistic to have multiple TVs in the house, right? Like as a kid, we had like one TV in the living room and that was probably about it, or one in another room for the kids to watch. But like at that point, mid 90s, like Every bedroom had a TV. There might be even one in the garage for dad working in the garage. You know, there was a scene earlier where Chip was making breakfast and there was a TV on the counter next to the stove. So somebody could be watching TV while making breakfast. Like, totally different addiction.
Yeah, it's
at that
TV
time.
culture, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, definitely.
You two are gonna be just fine. Take care of him, Robin. He's good people.
You never told me your real name.
You still want to know my name?
Yeah.
It's Ricardo. Ricky Ricardo. Just messing with you.
But the fate of Chip, Alex, maybe you can wrap up the movie with what ends up happening to him here at the very end.
So he ends up getting flown away. You know, I'm assuming one of those ambulance helicopter like type things. And it's like, it's the beginning of Cable Guy 2 is what just the way that I took it. Because the guy who's there helping him, he calls him his buddy or something like that. And he's like, am I really your buddy? He's like, yeah, man, sure you are. And like, it's like anybody who like just gives him he's so lonely. And that's probably the saddest part about his character. He's so lonely that like, he just needs some kind of interaction. If someone even gives him, you know, one tiny little inkling that they may like him at all, it's like they're automatically best friends and they've known each other for life. And it's like this whole circle. It's just about to restart for Cable Guy 2.
Yeah, I think he definitely knows that his relationship with Steven and Robin is fucked at that point.
Am I really your buddy?
Yeah, sure you are.
I like the idea that like the cycle never ends with this guy. Right? Like no matter like how bad it is, you know, he's just gonna end up like stalking this guy from prison, the helicopter pilot. So I definitely agree with you there, Alex. And that's kind of where the movie wraps.
I'm glad that they didn't let this one drag on at the end, because I feel like some of these, you know, bad movies from the 90s, they should just end like those old school horror movies, you know, where like something big just happens and it just ends, you know.
It does end like a horror movie too, with like the ambulance, right? And like there's always like someone wrapped in a blanket. I think it's like Robin in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And like it kind of just like zooms out with a helicopter shot and it just like credits from there. It's very similar to like how a horror movie would end. Kind of like a cheap horror movie anyway.
The rain stopped. The camera pans out.
Yeah, that's it, man. And that's the Cable Guy. So we're going to go into final thoughts. Alex, do you have any final thoughts before we get into ratings?
My final thoughts on this movie is if you've only seen it as a kid or in the 90s, it is worth watching if you just respect Jim Carrey as an actor. Because I think when I watched this when I was younger, I just, you know, Matthew Broderick's not a likable character to me. Like I said, just want to punch him in the face. Jim Carrey, you know, he's not a likable character in this movie. Maybe some of the things that he does you like, but pretty much everything about him just super cringe, you know? But he plays that really, really well. So as an actor, he did an amazing job.
I'm going to give a final thought on this, and it's just that it's funny to see Jack Black as a super subdued straight man. Because we know Jack Black. He's always like big energy, bouncing off the walls. You know, you think of School of Rock. He's always doing like weird, goofy shit.
Tropic Thunder.
And in this movie, he's just like so subdued. He's just like a total straight man. He's usually like annoyed by someone. Either he's annoyed by Steven or he's annoyed by the Cable Guy. It's very interesting to see him and to see him that young. Because now when I think of him, I think of old Jack Black with the big gray beard, you know?
Mm-hmm. This was probably one of his first like credited acting roles, right?
Probably. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So interesting note there, but we are going to go into ratings now. So Jonathan, I go to you first. On any rating scale you want, what are you going to give The Cable Guy?
Oh man, as anybody who's listened to me on this pod spewing my nonsense in the past, I try not to give a rating until we get through our pod and talk and discuss, and I wait to see if there's anything that strikes me in one direction or another. And rewatching this movie, God, 30 years after it was made now is pretty wild, man. I really enjoyed watching it. There's a lot of things that are not great, but there are things that I have a respect for that are small things that are done really well. And this movie does a lot of really small things really well, I believe. So I'm just going to give it a yes. I'm going to watch it. I'll watch it again. I'm probably going to continue to quote it. It's a movie that my wife knows word for word. She grew up watching this movie. I mean, without the movie even playing, she can just quote it from beginning to end. So it's going to be a regular in my house for sure.
All right. I'm going to go next. And I'm going to give this movie, I think, a lower rating than you, Jonathan. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10 celebrity murder trials. This movie, it's weird for me because I grew up on it, same as you, Jonathan, but like I loved it as a kid, and then it kind of like, as I got older, I stopped liking it as much, and now I'm at a place where like I kind of like it again just for nostalgia's sake, which isn't a great thing to say about any movie, but like I saw this movie at a drive-in theater as a kid. It was like super 90s. That memory is really strong for me. I saw it with a friend of mine, Caleb, and we were just like quoting it all the time. And then of course we had the VHS of this movie and we'd watch it all the time. One of the many in the Jim Carrey rotation. But this movie is like, it's strange because it's like a series of big scenes and then like these small scenes that connect them that you kind of almost forget about. It's like you remember the karaoke scene. You remember the basketball scene. You remember the bathroom fight scene. And then there's like these little moments that lead us in between these scenes that are not great. Like the bones of this movie are not good, I don't think. But like the big moments are in some cases pretty good. In some cases a little bit of a letdown. Like I didn't love the basketball scene rewatching it. I think I liked it as a kid. I thought it was really funny that like he like crawled up someone's back and did a dunk. But that doesn't do a lot for me now, right? Now it's more like the little stuff like, hey, let's see what you got, White Shadow. Stuff like that. Like a very small moment in the bigger scene. You know, the bathroom fight scene, I think I said earlier, was a highlight for me. So that one works. But 90s Jim Carrey just isn't the same anymore. At the time, it was something that like people had never seen and we couldn't get enough of. He had a good stretch between like 94 and like 98 where he had a bunch of movies and America loved them. But I think it's gotten a little stale for me. Like, they're not all rewatchable, I don't think. I think Dumb and Dumber is still the king of 90s Jim Carrey movies. Early 90s or mid 90s. Anyway, that's all I got. I think it's okay at best. I really don't love this movie, but goddamn if I can't disconnect myself from that nostalgia. So over to you, Alex. On any rating scale you want, what's it going to be?
So if you would have asked me this back in the 90s, I probably would have gave it like a 0.5 or a 1 out of 10. But
goddamn.
But that's how bad I did not like it back in the day. But after watching it and, you know, just as an adult, a lot of years later, a lot of it's because of the acting and a lot of the little things, like you said, that you have to watch a few times before you can actually pick up on it. So I'm actually going to give it 5 out of 10 cable boxes, illegal cable boxes.
Nice.
Yeah, I really feel like Jim Carrey, he plays a lot of these quirky like characters, and I just really feel like this one, he got to let his freak flag fly a little bit. And I'm sure the result of this movie, he might not have been like super happy about compared to a lot of the other ones around the same time, and you know, Liar Liar coming out after that. But I bet he had a lot of fun filming this one.
Awesome. Thank you, man. And I want to say a quick thing, actually. I should have put this in final thoughts, but Ben Stiller, who directed this movie, plays Sam and Stan Sweet. And I think he's great in the little moments we see of him, like at the trial, and like we get to hear his like 911 call, which is pretty funny. And Eric Roberts, who plays Sam and Stan Sweet in the made-for-TV movie within this movie, is great. Like I love that. Like, of course, like they rushed out some made-for-TV movie so you can kind of like see what happened. That whole thing, that element that they bring into this, the trial that's going on in the background, is a great touch, and I think it's one of the golden points for this movie, if any. So, before we wrap up, I want to thank you both for joining us. Jonathan, my good friend, who I cable guyed many years ago, and Alex, the fantasy hustler. Maybe you can tell people about what you do and where people can find you if they want to hear more.
So if you go to fantasyfootballhustler.com, that connects you to all the different links. I do a lot. I have a sports podcast, and we integrate some 420 in there. We do a lot of live streams. If you're just into fantasy football in general, a lot of uploaded information with advice. And then I do have a podcast called Silver Screen Breakdowns. It's also on that link. We haven't recorded any episodes in a while, but there's a lot of good episodes on there to watch. And there will be more movie content coming in 2025.
Yeah, there's a huge back catalog for Silver Screen Breakdowns, even if there's not any new stuff, including episodes that I were on, like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So you guys can check that out.
And Surf Ninjas. Let's not forget about that one.
Yep, live and in person. We've done a few podcasts in person before.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again for being here, and thank you, the listeners, for checking us out. The best thing you can do for this podcast if you want to support us is leave us a positive rating and written review on Apple Podcasts. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Even if you don't listen to us there, just give us a subscription. And when you see one of our videos drop, just give it a thumbs up, because that kind of thing helps a lot. I'll never ask for your money, but I do ask for your subscriptions. That's pretty much all we got this time. So, thank you very much for listening. We love you, and good night.